What is up, everybody? It is Sunday, February 15th, 2026, and you are listening to Super Gamecast. I am your host, Bronson Fiore, joined by nobody. So Duncan had to help his sister move. Big excited to help with that. So I am here on my own. You're getting just me this week. So I'm gonna get pretty much straight into the news, because there's a lot of fighting game news this week, actually, as it turns out. Uh, Particularly for a game I've been playing a lot of, 2XKO. 2XKO Riot Games is laying off around 80 team members, or half of their team, 3 weeks after the game's official launch. The company has said they have seen a quote, a lot of discussion. We are reducing the size of the 2XKO team. I want you to know the decision wasn't made lightly. As we expanded from PC to console, we saw consistent trends in how players were engaging with 2XKO. The game hasn't resonated with a passionate core audience, but overall the momentum hasn't reached the level needed to support any of this long term. With a smaller focused team, we're going to dig in and make key improvements to the game, including some things we've already heard you asking for. We'll share some of our plans soon. Um, I feel like this is really soon to already be cutting staff. I will say 160 devs is a lot for a fighting game team. Like, that's really, really big for a fighting game team. But this, like I said, it feels just really soon. Especially for a game that has almost no single player content and a very, very, very tiny character roster. Um, yeah, so that's kind of my first big thought on that is this feels really soon. Like, it was like, oh man, it's been 3 weeks, we're not making money. Cut bail, cut. What can we cut? It is my first. Oh, is my first reaction. My next reaction here is 80 devs is still a lot for a fighting game team. And this game in terms of like for the core player, like your FGC guy, your guy that goes to Evo, your guy that, goes and does tournaments and is really into the fighting game scene, especially tag fighters, it's awesome. I spent like 4 hours playing it this past Thursday night and was just locked in super hard, wanting to learn characters, starting to get really good with Darius, like just having a great time. I guess where it falls apart though is Riot Games wanted to make this what Riot Games has made, League and Valorant, which is this huge, mega, like, defines the genre game. And it's very clear that they brought in very smart people who know fighting games, are fighting game guys. But unfortunately, they also brought in guys who, because they're fighting game guys, don't know how to make a game for the majority of people who you need for a fighting game to be successful, which is the casual or like kind of mid-core audience. Like, I know we always talk about Evo numbers. Oh, look at these, tens of thousands of people going to Evo. Yeah, dog, that's like 1/1000th, like the amount of people you need to buy a fighting game and be engaged in a fighting game. And you need more than just training mode and yo, go online, which is just what the game has. It's you do the tutorial, you can do some combo trials and some advanced trials and check out those. And then, all right, go run sets. And it reminds me of the launch of Street Fighter V, right? Like, it reminds me of when Street Fighter V came out. It had a little more than this. At least it had a bare bones arcade mode and time attack, but it was still like, yeah, dog. Look, there's training mode, there's online mode, there's 16 characters. Get out there, get on the internet, and start fighting dudes. Except its netcode wasn't as good. And those are kind of all big problems when it comes to getting the audience to turn this game into a mainstream success. Because I think what they thought is, oh, we're removing emotion inputs and that gets rid of the biggest barrier. It's like, no, a lot of people like to play games like this single player or like alternative modes and options. You know, you look at Smash Brothers, right? I know Smash Brothers isn't a traditional fighting game per se, but it's like it has tons and tons of single player content, characters to unlock, uh, multiple different single player modes depending on the different game, like adventure mode, subspace emissary, that board game thing in Ultimate. Your standard arcade adventure mode, your weird game modes. So they don't have to get invested in the online. And if you want to talk about, Street Fighter 6, I think Street Fighter 6 is this perfect example of how you court the hardcore player and the casual. I know that people are like super pissed that Street Fighter 6 takes too long for characters to come out. But one, they all come out really awesome and well done. So if the answer is, hey, we gotta wait 4 to 8 months for a character, I'm not like mad about that. If it ends up being as good as Sea Viper was, or as good as Sagat was. And then they have just a bunch of content for your casual player, like World Tour. If you are like a casual gamer and you just like the characters of Street Fighter and you like picking up Street Fighter, and then oh man, here you go. Here's this thing that is the characters of Street Fighter. And just this big world you can go and interact with and play and enjoy. And here's these modern control scheme that's simple that you can also just go and enjoy. Like it's not this big deal with say this game where it's all right, go into the sweat fest let's go into the matches. We did the training, let's go into the matches. But because I don't know anything about fighting games, especially because this is one of the most degenerate tag fighters ever made, even like someone with a slight knowledge advantage is just gonna put you in a fucking blender. It's not fun for the casual or even mid-core player. The fact that they did have a split screen mode, like, that's just fucking horrendous. The fact that there is like not a local mode is crazy. Like that is crazy. That is what are you doing levels of crazy. So there's that, and then what else was there on top of that? That there was a couple of other things that came to mind. Within the FGC, of course, everyone is talking about balance because yeah, like the fuse system combined with these crazy characters, like it's like there have always been an obvious monster character, so that's one thing, and then or two monster obvious characters, Yuso being one of them. I believe that's how you say his name. And yeah, so it's just this does not surprise me. It's just unfortunate that they're cutting bail so soon. I can't blame them though, because this thing was restarted in dev once. It's been worked on for 10 years, and it's finally out, and it looks and plays awesome. But it's just it's just not there yet. I think that you could have courted a bigger part of the hardcore FGC had you launched on console day and date. I think that's one thing that a lot of people outside the FGC don't realize. Like, a lot of people are moving to PC, and PC is getting more popular, and that's great. Hey, PC is a great place to play video games. But a lot of the fighting game community still prefers consoles because it's more affordable to do at scale, because, buy a bunch of 2XKO rigs, you're looking at like 800 to $1,000 a piece. Get a bunch of PlayStations for 400, $500. So there's that, and then there's the fact that hey, even playing field, everyone is on a PlayStation, so a lot of the FGC lives on console, so that's the first thing. And then this roster is just too small. It's really good, but it's just too small. Like it would have been already a little too small being a 1v1 game, but in a 2v2, 12 characters on the 1.0 launch, that is crazy work. Yeah, I don't know. I think that from a gameplay standpoint and a netcode standpoint, it's really good. I would say that it's one of the most enjoyable fighting games I've played in a long time. I'm not gonna quite put on the level of Dragon Ball Fighters, but I am gonna say that man tag games with colorful, cool characters are fucking awesome, and I would love to see more of them. But yeah, and then of course there's the talk about skins. The price of skins is gross. You know, they're often sold in 3 packs, and they're like $50 for 3 skins, or individual skins for like $20. Like, I don't think people realize the FGC is what you would call a little bit poverty. Like most of the FGC is not gonna blow $20 to $30 on a skin, man. It's just not. It's just not gonna happen. You know, like I remember they put out a like metallic Zangief skin for like $10, and even then I was like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna pay $10 for this. Um, I will say they did get me on those retro skins in Street Fighter 6 though. Like I plopped down that like $4 for that retro Akuma skin, like that old school Akuma. Like I didn't even think about it. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's a real bummer. I think that's just kind of my thoughts on it. It's there. There's a lot of cool art design here. There's a lot of cool mechanics, but not enough characters. Not enough. Especially for the kind of success they want. It's very clear that Riot needs everything to turn into Valorant or League levels of success, and I don't know if a fight. Well, I know a fighting game can get there. It's just hard. It's just very hard for a fighting game. You know, you look at like Street Fighter 6, you could argue it's there, and that has, you know, all the goodwill of Street Fighter combined with, you know, it was a perfect storm. It has great netcode, almost devil level netcodes. Like the fact that I can get good matches on hotel Wi-Fi was crazy. You know, it had, you know, so you got that going for it. And then you have the fact that it has amazing single player content, be it avatar battles, you know, arcade mode, time attack, world tour with costumes and whatnot, and really great training mode and hardcore, you know, a great online battle hub that doesn't suck. Looking at you, Arxis, and this game, 2XKO, and just all of that together is just this real perfect storm, and then Smash is Smash. So I, I guess my answer here would be, hey, just make this game's gameplay, but with everything else from Street Fighter 6 is your answer, right? So good luck. Oh man, what are the chances this game is like? And they also have said, hey, after the, you know, hey, we got at least a year's worth of content, which tells me, hey, it is them holding up the sign. Hey, if this game doesn't do well this year, this might be the only year of content. So, yeah. All right. Well, anyway, that's the first bit of 2XKO news. The next bit of 2XKO news is hey, what's next? New champions. Our team is fully, you know, they talked about layoffs, and then they had this announced prior, but it does feel kind of conveniently timed to be talked about after the layoffs. Which is we want to have a video to talk face to face with the team's hands down or heads down, and we wanted to chat ASAP. We're fully committed and working hard on 2XKO. We're doubling down on building the for what the FGC yeah. We're doubling down on building for the FGC that loves this genre. We're focusing on duo play, core gameplay, community, and competitive programs, and there's still big priorities moving forward, and I want to dig into them here. Yeah, I think that duo mode is really cool. I think that is genuinely, especially if you have a friend who's really into fighting games and they are, you know, they're willing to teach you, that can be an incredible teaching tool. Like just having someone there running sets with you and running that kind of thing with you just going back and forth. So I think that's cool. Duo, they're adding a local duo mode. They're prototyping it for a couch co-op against the world. It's still good in the problem though that there's like no AI mode. So like, even if you and your friend are new, it's just, oh cool, now I'm put in the blender with another person. Core gameplay, the skill ceiling of this game is high, and that's where it's going to stay. And they're talking about trying to show off, hey, they want to continue making balance changes that hit outliers in the meta while keeping the sauce of every character at a high level. We want champions to have defined strengths and weaknesses, and right now that's not clear enough across all the cast. We're looking to push how we support 2XKO tournament organizers and their communities in more ways. And then, hey, ranked. We're keeping an eye on edge cases that affect finding fair matches in ranked. Yeah, I kind of ran into that on both sides, where in ranked I was running into a lot of matches where I would body someone or get bodied. Like, I would get close matches sometimes, but it was not Street Fighter. And that might be because the player pool is smaller. Because, like, people are already hearing this bad news and they're jumping ship. They're like, fuck this. You got whatever money I spent on the starter pack or whatever, and I'm pissed now. Leave. So there's that. Screen tearing, yeah, that's a big issue on the PS5 version. I played a bunch of PS5 version this week, and there's definitely screen tearing. Yuso and Echo, these two characters are some of the sauciest in the roster, but we also see that their weaknesses aren't apparent enough at the highest levels of play. Fair enough. So, and then they showed off two new characters. They showed off Akalai here, who looks just awesome. Like, she looks sick as hell, for sure. And then they showed off Cena. I think the thing that annoys me is these are, like, super, very short, tiny gameplay clips. It's like, alright, one combo each, I guess. So, yeah. They're still working on it for now. And, soon we'll have 14 characters at least, which... I got 5 extra tokens because I bought in on the game hard, so I guess I'm that sucker. Oh yes, another thing I forgot to mention is the name is terrible. Like you couldn't have called it like Arcane Arena or League Arena or something. Just like make it clear this is linked to League of Legends. All right, that's just that one is like I feel like a minor complaint, but I had to get it out there. Alright, well, next news story, and our last FGC news story, before we start getting into the broader video game news, but I want to start with fighting game stuff, because, I'm heavily invested in that. Capcom drops the pay-per-view price of upcoming Street Fighter 6 tournament stream from $40 to $10 following player backlash. Unrestricted co-streaming will also be allowed for the group stages. So it was announced last year at TGS or Tokyo Game Show, that the finals of the Capcom 12 and Street Fighter League World Championship would be streaming pay-per-view. This was met with backlash, which led Capcom to saying it was reviewing pricing, and including additional context. When the end of October arrived, Capcom said it was still preparing pricing details, but planned to sell pay-per-view streaming tickets from November 12th as planned. And then, they ended up revising the pricing now, and, people getting refunds and whatnot. I just don't think we're at a point where people are willing to pay, like, $40 to see... Like, I'm not even sure I would pay $40 to watch EVO. Like, not in person. Like online. Like, if EVO wasn't streamed for free, like, I'm not sure I would do that, so... I don't know, this just seems really fucking weird, and, like, I think this should be free. I know that Capcom sees this as, like, a long-term marketing thing, and, they had to have made money on it last year because of the fact that, they're doing it again. You don't repeat behavior that tends to have backlash unless you get positive stuff out of it, so, there's that. Anyway, that's basically that. We're going to take a quick break as I got to take care of something real quick. Hold on, and we'll be right back.
One eternity later.
Alright, we're back, everybody. Sorry about that. I had to take care of something real quick. For all you on the live show, and for all you on the recording, well, hey, you didn't just get to enjoy a nice long break. So, next news story, though. Asus says it is experiencing high repair volumes when asked for help with faulty Xbox Ally X's. It's been almost 4 months since Xbox and Asus teamed up to release the pricey Ally X, and after quite a bit of coverage before and during launch, we haven't heard much else about it. But now, 4 months in, this $1,000 handheld is breaking. Windows Central's Jennifer Young shared her unfortunate Xbox Ally X journey. Their 4-month-old device powered down one day and refused to turn back on. It wouldn't even charge, like everyone else upset about their expensive new tech failing. Young tried to figure out a way to fix it, unfortunately arriving at Asus's door, where she received a worrying response that Asus is currently receiving a high repair volume, and because of that, their broken Ally X might need to be sent overseas for repair. Annoying, but also concerning. While Asus naturally doesn't blame the Xbox PC hybrid for the higher volume repairs, the nature of the issue certainly suggests it might be part of the problem. It sounds like quite a few of you might be having Xbox Ally X issues. Replies to Jez Corden, one of Windows Central posts sharing Young's Ally X repair journey, have only fueled the belief that part of the reason his Asus repair team is swamped right now is due to the Xbox Ally X. Because, hey, they also had problems. Some people claim to have suffered the same problem as Young with their own device, while others shared different issues that, while not quite as serious as the device not working at all, are still not okay for something that costs $1,000 4 months after it released. As mentioned in the replies a few times by early adopters, the Ally X has some of noises some of its buttons and triggers are making only after a few months of use. One reply says their right trigger has started to make noises, even when applying only a little bit of pressure. Other users claim the buttons are squeaking while throwing some shade at the device's software for good measure, which, let's see, I want to see what that comment is. My handles are squeaking like crazy. Don't get me started about the software, but that can be fixed with Linux at least. Concerning the price point, there's a bunch of controversy and the reluctance by Xbox to even tell us how much it's going to cost. You might think there are many of these handhelds out there. They sold out almost immediately when pre-orders began, though meaning more people willing to start with 1,000 than you might think. However, even the institution that was a significant chunk of those devices already need to be sent away, potentially overseas to be repaired, only after 4 months isn't a promising sign. Yeah, yo dog, not good. Uh, yeah, man, we're 4 months into this thing being out, and already having a, like, possible, I don't want to say red ring, because that's like a historic consumer electronic failure, but a significant enough failure to get multiple people mentioning loud buttons, loud triggers, broken parts, not booting back up and not charging isn't good, especially, like, if this was, like, it's never good when you have something expensive like this breaking, but if it was something like, $500, it'd be a little less egregious. But man, this is just awful. And it's just Microsoft once again finding new ways to step on a rake, right? Like, that's the other big thing here. And I guess my issue with the Ally X, the Xbox Ally X, is I don't know who it is for. And the reason I say that is because, it's $1,000, which is not, like, cheap. But it's still not the best handheld on the market, right? Like, if you're Richie Rich, you want the best of the best of the best, you're gonna go get, like, a Legion Go 2. Or, I mean, if you want the real best of the best of the best, that Aya Neo thing they put out, it's like $2,000. But this is not the best of the best of the best. The Xbox full screen experience, I can tell you personally, is ass. It is, I guess it's technically better than Armory Crate, but it still sucks. It's not like a good application. It's not a good program I can easily recommend to you. I just don't, dude, I don't know, like, I just don't recommend this device at the end of the day. To be fair, I don't recommend many Microsoft products these days. Some of their games are cool. Office works fine, I guess, even though I would argue most people, the Google Suite is better for most people. So it's like, it's kind of where I'm at with it. Yeah, this sucks. Springton High, man, it'd be really funny. Like, it wouldn't be funny for the consumer, but it would be funny for, like, Microsoft to run into another Red Ring issue with their handheld. And I know that they said, hey, pre-orders were sold out, but, like, yeah, pre-orders were sold out, but it's been real easy to get. Like, I'm sure if we go on, I mean, you know what? Let's go on bestbuy.com right now and see if we can get ourselves, not, like, actually buy one, because I don't want to spend $1,000 for a handheld I don't really want. But let's see if you can get an Xbox Ally X today, 4 months after launch. Oh yeah, I can pick it up today if I want to. Yep, absolutely no problems. Yep, same thing with the regular Xbox Ally. Oh, okay. You know, it looks like which that doesn't necessarily surprise me. It just doesn't. It's not a particularly like good piece of hardware. It's not like a piece of hardware I can fully back. Like it's, hey, we juiced up the Ally X, the regular Ally X, and put it out for $1,000 and made it really, really fat, even fatter than it already was. But I guess you could do worse. Speaking of doing worse, laid off Highguard developer criticizes online dogpiling, rage bait content, and personal attacks. So, for those of you who don't know what Highguard was, it is the game announcement that they closed out the Game Awards with. The Game Awards closed out with this live service shooter by a bunch of ex-Titanfall devs, and they've been getting dogpiled. The game launched very strong, nearly 200,000 players first couple days, and then now it's down to like around sub 2,000. It had a pretty hardcore fallout pretty quick, it dropped fast, like, less than a month. Very small percentage of the player base left. And, people are memeing on it, of course, and calling it the next Concord, and, just being, like, kind of dicks to the developers, if I'm being honest. Like, look, guys, if you don't like a game, great. Tell everyone you don't like the game. If you don't like if you don't like something about it, great. But, like, don't go attack the developers. It's gross. Anyway, saying, quote, we deserve the bare minimum of not having our downfall be gleefully manifested. Highguard developer who was among the recently laid off criticized the way the game and its creators were treating it online following its reveal. So they did the reveal. It wasn't super well received. And then they just went silent and they put it out. Right. And then, most of the team was laid off shortly after, a couple weeks after launch. Now, one of the laid off team members, Josh Sobel, has taken to X, or Twitter. You should all call it Twitter. It makes Elon very happy when you say that. To criticize the way the game was treated by players after its initial reveal. Sobel claimed that all the feedback the team had received prior to the game's reveal, even from unbiased sources, was widely positive, with alleged comments such as, there's no way this will flop, This has mainstream hit written all over it, and there's a one project nobody in the industry is worried will fail. It's yours. Okay, so the thing that they need to realize with that is consultants can be wrong. Because I imagine that they either got a consultant for this or they talked to a journalist. And, when you are looking at a game in a pre-release state as like a member of the press or a member of game dev, what you're looking at an unfinished product and you're projecting, well, if they hit all these targets, hell yeah, this is what it should look like. This is going to be awesome. That's not necessarily what it will be, though. Sobel says, after the award show reveal, it was all downhill from here, claiming YouTubers posting rage bait content played a large role in driving activity. Content creators love to point out the bias and folks give positive previews after being flown out for an event, but ignore the fact that when their negative leaning content gets 10 times the engagement of the positive, they've lost just as much incentive to lean into... They have just got just as much incentive to lean into a disingenuous direction, whether consciously or not, he wrote. I mean, yes, I absolutely agree with that. It's very hard to write, like, you're in a very competitive space when it comes to content creation. Like, we've leaned into that kind of, clickbaity titles before. It is the nature of the beast. But yes, absolutely, negativity will draw more views, at minimum, a lot of the time, or controversy. And yeah, that he's right. Like, you hear that all the time you'll hear that all the time from different content creators, grifter or not, being like, yo, if I just rage bait all the time, people will click. And then they'll go, out the side of their mouth say, I didn't get flown to an event. I am an unbiased source. Now let me get you real pissed off so you will click on my video. It is what it is. Sobel claims he received personal attacks due to his naivete on Twitter. Many content creators made videos and posts about me and my cowardice, amassing millions of views and inadvertently sending hundreds of angry gamers into my replies. They laughed at me for being proud of the game, told me to get out the McDonald's application, and mocked me for listing having autism in my bio, which they seemed to think was evidence the game would be woke trash. This is just people being assholes. That's all this is. This is people being fucking assholes. If we're being completely frank, like, you should not message people directly and dogpile them if you, like, just really dislike their product, especially because here's a video game, dude, it's one person on, like, anywhere from, like, 10 to 200 person team. So, I don't know. Saying that's not my place to comment where the game would have been better received had its official unveiling not been a massive spotlight as the final reveal at the Game Awards. Sobel says the game was nevertheless declared dead on arrival within minutes of the announcement. Every one of our videos on social media got downvoted to hell. Comment sections were flooded with copy-paste meme phrases such as Concord 2 and Titanfall 3 died for this. At launch, we received over 14k review bombs from users with less than an hour of playtime. May didn't even finish the required tutorial. He added, in discussions online about High Guard, Concord 2XKO, and such, it often pointed out by gamers, devs like to blame gamers for their failures, and that's silly, as if gamers have no power, but they do. A lot of it. They do. They absolutely do. I think that gamers act like the most persecuted, fucking whiny people in the world a lot of the time. Like, it's actually part of the gaming audience, the broader gaming audience I dislike. It's a very much a, oh, woe is me, fucking, like, it's all on the devs, we have no power. It's fucking stupid. Sobel posts on X received variety applies, ranging from people backing him in the team to others suggesting other factors may have played a role in the game's underwhelming launch. Its largely hyped reveal aside. Some replies suggesting releasing without a beta or any other way to receive feedback may have resulted in a weaker game. Others suggest the game launched with nearly 100,000 concurrent players on Steam alone means that some of these people were bad actors looking to post negative reviews. There was still a chance to keep a large number of them on board if the game had been engaging. Yeah, so I do think that this being kind of the end of the Game Awards reveal was a problem. And I think it was a problem for them because it creates, when you're the closer for the Game Awards, there's a lot of expectation that comes with that. Okami was the closer, 2 years ago, right? And that game's not going to be out for a couple years, but that's like the return of a mega franchise, right? Versus this, it's a new IP, it's a live service game. If I'm going to be completely honest, the gameplay didn't look, like the part of that trailer that got me the most interested is like the guys that made Titanfall 2 are working on this, not the game itself. Want to give it the benefit of the doubt because because of that, like, hey, this game could be cool. The guys that made Titanfall are working on it. But yeah, I played that tutorial. I did a match or two. It's fine. It's nothing special. And yeah, I think that getting all that word out about it, if they had something really great, was awesome, but now it almost seemed to not serve them. But on the other side of that, it's like, no matter who you are, you're really going to turn down being, a headliner at the Game Awards, right? Like, you're working on this project for years, you're siloed off, you're making a game that's, you're making a game that's, like, you think is awesome. Are you really going to turn down, oh, hey, we're going to put this in front of 1 million people at no cost to you? Because Jeff Keighley even said we didn't charge them. The answer is probably not, right? Like, that's the answer here. And that, like I said, the consultants could have been wrong. The people that looked up behind it could have been wrong. I honestly think the big part about this, though, is I think gamers and content creators have more of a voice than they think. That's one. And then 2 is I think that, like, in general, just stop being shitty to people who make product. Like, don't buy the product if you don't like it or it doesn't look interesting to you. If, like, Highguard doesn't look good to you, just be like, I'm not interested. That looked kind of lame. Not, like, go message developers on Twitter and shit on them for no reason. Like, yes, your game is failing and you probably already feel bad. Let me stab you in the ribs emotionally over and over and over again. Hundreds of us. It's just so petty and stupid. Anyway. Yeah. I think that game could have been interesting. I played a little bit of it when it came out. I think that there's too much downtime in the matches. I think there's too much going on mechanically, like just 1 million different systems. It's too much. It's too much to interpret for kind of a quick shooter-based thing like that. Yeah, that's kind of my thought on it. I think you could do. I think you could do worse. I think that, like, the fact that they got some people to hang around is, a testament to that it has moments that are good. But I also think that it just didn't have anything that really stood out, man. I guess that's my big thing with it, is like it had like all these ideas piled on, but it just didn't do anything to stand out. Um, and I know that people have talked about, well, we just didn't want to be chained to making Apex and Titanfall forever. It's just like, yeah. Yeah. And like even now, like I just pulled the Steam page. There's a page posted today, all caps, angry review. People talking about, hey, this feels like a worse version of Apex Legends. If you want a hero shooter, play Overwatch or Marvel Rivals. If you want a looter shooter, play Destiny. Like I think that this game, like, you could have maybe done some interesting things with it if it had more dev time and didn't come with the expectations of Titanfall 2 and being the closer at the Game Awards, but here we are. Stop being dicks to developers, guys. Like, there's no reason to go on Twitter and dogpile random people. It's very shitty of you to do that, but it is what it is. Anyway, hey, guess what? This week, Sony had a State of Play. They stated and they played. And they showed a lot of cool stuff. So, at this State of Play, Sony, we're going to go through it out of order. We got a list here, and kind of I'll just give my high-level opinion, because I don't want to be here for 2 hours. They showed, not only did they show this, they shadow dropped it, a God of War Sons of Sparta. They gave their, the license to a indie studio, and they made a 2D, Metroidvania game. Like a God of War Metroidvania. And it, early opinion so far seem to say it's pretty damn good. I want to pick this up. I'm interested in it. It looks very goddamn cool. I would love to see more of this. I would love to see big license holders licensing out their IP to known studios to do cool stuff. Or not even even unknown studios if they have faith that they can make a cool game. I think one of my big criticisms that of recent is games take so long to develop that if you are a kid or a teenager that played God of War, Ragnarok, you might not get to see a new God of War, main God of War for like a decade. So getting this as something in the between could be really cool. Speaking of God of War, Sony Santa Monica announced something very ambitious in my opinion, and that is a remake of the trilogy. That they are doing a remake of all 3 God of War games, which that sounds crazy ambitious. And I'm also curious what they mean by remake. And I'm curious of that is, like, are they doing the new God of War style of gameplay? Like, are they making it play like that? Or are they going back and just making the old games really, really pretty? Because this is a case where I would much rather have the second one. I love that original trilogy. I think they are fine the way they are, though I do think the first game, there are parts of like in Hades where the balance is really obnoxious and bad. But and they didn't show any gameplay or anything. There's like, hey, we're working on this, which in current video games, we got the original Kratos voice actor as well. But in current video games, that just translates to, hey, we are like a decade away from this being out. So, yeah, enjoy. But I don't know, that could be cool. I just really don't want them to take it into the new style. A new Castlevania, 2D Castlevania, Motion Twin, and it is, they're doing, apparently they're gonna have a bunch of stuff for the 40th anniversary of Castlevania this year, but the first thing is a new 2D Castlevania. Fuck yes! It has been too long! 2D Castlevania is awesome. Nothing is top Symphony of the Night yet, but, I can be optimistic here. The original guy went to go work on Bloodstained. Those games were great, but I would love to see, I'd love to see this. And this is another case of, hey, we are giving our really known, beloved IP a chance to shine by giving it to a new or unknown studio and hope they do something cool. I stand by this. Give indie devs big name IPs. Give smaller devs big name IPs to play with. Make cool shit. AAA's too expensive, make cool shit. Alright. Speaking of indie devs, we're getting a sequel to Kena Bridge of Spirits. So Kena Bridge of Spirits, for those that don't know, was basically a 3D Zelda-like almost. There's a sequel to that. Kena Bridge of Spirits was a really good game. So Kena Scars of Cosmora will also probably be a pretty decent game. I'm willing to bet. It's been in development for a while. The first one came out in, it says 2021 here. So you're looking at, 5-year dev time for a smaller team. Could be very interesting. I know some idiot posted on Twitter why didn't they make the lady goonable? I'm just like, dude, you don't need to jack off to every video game character. It's okay. It's okay. I promise. It does make me want to go play the original, though. I go through that again. Played it on PlayStation. I just play the Steam copy now. I have. Sick game. Very loved game. Yeah. I had some concerns with it, like, turning to a more open structure, maybe, but we'll see. Moving on. John Wick. Untitled John Wick game. This will have Keanu Reeves in it. He is, they are not doing, they're having him straight come in and do the voice. And it is done by Saber Interactive, the folks behind Space Marine 2 and Toxic Commando. I think that this is a perfect IP for a video game. In fact, it is shocking that a good John Wick video game hasn't happened yet. It is shocking. I think that John Wick, like, if you watch John Wick, especially the second, third, and fourth movie, like, you could not have a possible better franchise to turn into a sick as hell video game. Right? Like, it feels like such a one-to-one match that I just, like, easy W for the studio, right? Like straight up. I just wonder, I wonder, like, hey, what's the gameplay gonna be like? Toxic Commando and Space Marine aren't exactly fully similar to John Wick, but they are. Is it gonna have a bullet time thing? Is it gonna be like that John Woo video game that came out? Yeah, that's that. So, oh hey, yeah, there we go. We got to see like 2 seconds of gameplay. All right, we got to see some takedowns. All right, all right. So it's gonna have like takedown moves. I'm just curious, what the core gameplay is. God, just watching that made me want to go. Just watching that made me want to go watch the John Wick movies. All right. All right. So next up, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 is coming out. Metal Gear Solid 4 is finally out of jail. It's getting released. It's getting set free from PS3 prison. Get hype. Metal Gear Solid 4 is finally free. You don't need to have it run like crap in an emulator or keep a PS3 around. It's here, or it's almost going to be here. End of August. Finally. No more. I mean, I still need to keep my PS3 around for a million other games that haven't been ported to other systems yet, like the Resistance games, but one less game out of the prison. Thank Christ. And onto the PC, where people will be able to preserve it forever and ever and ever through alternative means. Metal Gear Solid 4 is one of my favorite games ever. It is a goated as fuck video game. I don't think it's Kojima's best game, but it is definitely one of his most just, fuck it, we are gonna do my version of Endgame, my version of just wrapping this whole storyline up as much as I can. And that's obviously the big selling point here. And then the other thing is, like, we're getting Peace Walker, which, it's a good game. I'm curious how that game is going to function without, like, the Wi-Fi functionality stuff that I feel was a really core part of that game. I'm curious to see if they'll bring in online co-op, because I feel like that is a big part of that game. That's a lot of fun. And then yeah, it's just those two. It's out this August. Right, it also has the Game Boy Color game Ghost Babel. So yeah, that's sick. It's $50. I think it's a very fair price for it. I think that those are two great games. Those are two great games. Love it. Love to see it. Ghost Yote is getting 4-player co-op DLC. It seems fine. I was not a fan of this mode on Tsushima, so having it now on Yote is just, yeah, whatever, man. Part of Sony is, hey, we gotta put more live service out, get people to buy microtransactions, but this is not like what I'm interested in when it comes to Tsushima and Yote, so some people like it though. Some people have a good time with it. So I'm not gonna yuck their yum, as some people say. Resident Evil trailer. That game's out in 2 weeks? A little under 2 weeks. It looks cool. I'm looking forward to it. I like Resident Evil. Moving on. Soros gets a new trailer. For those of you who know, this is the Returnal Resoguns guys game. This is a game that looks really cool, but I just don't give a shit about roguelites, unfortunately. Like, if this was like a linear A to B action game, I would be all about it. It is the rogueliteness of here where I'm just like, it's a roguelike, huh? Alright. I just find them repetitive and grating with very few exceptions. I'm starting to grow. They're starting to grow on me, so I'll probably end up giving this a shot. I really like Ball Pit. I really like Balatro. I just feel that I get tired of them before I can continue on with them. Is kind of the thing. Like, I didn't finish Ball Pit. Excuse me, like the entire every level. I just got tired. Like, I was just like, tired of restarting to get more stuff to be able to progress. This is annoying. Like the list of roguelites I've really enjoyed is it's like Hades, Balatro, Ball Pit. Like, it's a very short list. Which sucks because like this game looks cool. I feel so back in the day, Aaron on the show would always talk about like he loved the art and style of the Souls-like games, and he gets tricked into playing them because of that, and that is how I feel about roguelike. Is this game looks amazing, and the core gameplay loop seems fun, but I find the roguelike part annoying, and I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy it, I'm going to try it, I'm going to get into it, and I'm going to get pissed when I have to restart the level or the game for the millionth time, but with randomly generated assets, and the cycle will continue. But it looks cool, and hey, it's out the end of April, so, maybe give it a shot. Bungie. Oh, yeah, sorry, blew my eardrums out and probably yours. Bungie continues their slow death march with Marathon. From what I understand of closed alphas and betas, it is better. Like, it's gotten a lot better from what I've heard from behind closed doors. The shooting feels good. The gameplay's better. And, it's nice to see that, Arc Raiders got shown as a big AAA extraction shooter that could work, so that probably, kind of gives them a blueprint of maybe what they should do. I think this art style looks cool as hell. Like, visually, this game looks incredible, and I will probably try and fit some time into this beta, even though it comes out the same weekend as World of Warcraft and Resident Evil. But, yeah, I'm just not optimistic, and I just know that if this game fails, Bungie might be finally getting rug pulled. I don't know, dude. This game, I'm starting to think they should have just launched as like a free-to-play title as well, but That's a different story altogether. But it's out March 5th, and you can play it the 26th to the 2nd if you really wanna, if you're really morbidly curious, I guess. New Control. They showed off, so Control Resonant, the sequel to Control that looks like a hack and slash. One, it looks awesome. It looks crazy and surreal and sick as fuck. That said, it's, you know, no real confirmed dates. They confirmed this is the PS5 Pro version, so there's that. Yeah, I'm curious how this gameplay will work. I'm not exactly expecting DMC, but I am expecting something good. Yeah, that's just, dude. Like, it's just so visually dynamic and interesting and crazy. I'm curious what the story is here. I want to know so much. Yeah. I like Control 1 a lot. Alan Wake 1 and 2 are two of my favorite video games. Yeah, it looks so sick. It definitely has a defined vision. And, yeah. I'm curious to see, is this coming out on Steam? Like, I know it's coming to PC, but, like, is it coming out on, Steam as well, or is it going to be another Epic Game Store exclusive? The most annoying part of Alan Wake 2 is if you want to play the PC version, enjoy going on Epic Game Store. The whole reason I have it installed on my computer. Alright. Moving on, though. 007 First Light is another look at James Bond's earliest days. Jesus Christ. I'm tired of trailers just blaring my eardrums out. First thing. Yeah, I think this game looks awesome. This is another case of, hey, we got a really big IP. We got a really cool developer who seems like a perfect fit. I mean, look, man, you could not have a better peanut butter chocolate combo of the developers that what made Hitman are making James Bond. The best spy game with the most known spy franchise, peanut butter chocolate. It is the Reese's Cup. I bet this game will be pretty dope. And my biggest concern actually is the fact that they might make it too AAA. Might make it too, like, action gamey, not enough spy Hitman here. So, yeah. Alright. Moving forward. Beast of Reincarnation. This was shown at the Microsoft thing earlier in the year. It's done by the Pokemon people. Man, Pokemon people be slacking for on Pokemon. You look at this, you're like, God damn. They can do this. What the fuck? Why doesn't Pokemon do this? Have this kind of effort put into it? What the fuck? Yeah. Otherwise, it looks very artistically interesting. I think that gameplay wise, I can't really tell if it's a Souls-like or not. Visually, though, man, it's got some real sauce here, and I'm willing to give it a real shot. Alright, so Rev Noir. This is a new JRPG. There's so many games in this, dude. Like, Sony really did pull the drops random, absolutely amazing state of play in middle of February with next to no notice. So, but yeah, new JRPG by Konami. Looks pretty okay. I think that I just think that there's nothing here that really stands out, but curious to see how it does. I like the fact that Konami is getting into video games in a big way again. Metal Gear's back, Silent Hill's back, Castlevania's back. They're doing a new RPG. Like, Konami is out here being like, we're trying to make up for some past mistakes, dog. Play some cool games, maybe. Or we're gonna go back to pachinko. If you don't buy these, we go back to pachinko. All right. Star Wars Galactic Racer coming out later this year. You know, it's the state of play confirmed that Ben Quadanaro survived the events of Phantom Menace and will be part of this new racing league. The new racer is set to be released later this year. Dude, I loved pod racing on the N64. I loved it on the arcade. That was such a dope game. Building an entire Star Wars racing game around that shit. Dude, I'm so hyped for this game. It looks like it reminds me of like Wipeout and stuff. I'm a sucker for a good arcade racer. And it feels like we are in an arcade racing renaissance. You know, last year we got a good Mario Kart, we got a good Sonic Racer, Fast Fusion, Tokyo Extreme. Now we're getting this. Like, it is Screamers out in a month. It is a beautiful time to love racing games. Oh, hold on. Anyway, yep. Looks dope. Can't wait. Neva's getting a prologue. Neva is a really good indie game from 2 years ago. It's getting a prologue. Yeah, I liked Neva. I wouldn't mind playing some more Neva. Sure. Mina the Hollower gets a gameplay trailer and a demo. The demo is out as of this recording. The gameplay trailer looks sick. I really liked Shovel Knight. I almost said Hollow Knight. And, I mean, they're making a 2D Zelda-like with some additional action elements thrown in and RPG elements. This looks like it could be really cool. Yeah. I think it looks great. It's out spring of this year. Got pushed from last Halloween. Defend against an alien threat in 4-loop. It's a tactical 4-player co-op shooter. Yeah, see, the second I see the skill tree, my brain just fucking immediately turns off. It's like, I do not care. I do not care about your tactical live service game. And I'm gonna do exactly that. Pragmata. This game is out in April. It has a demo out. It is that weird game by Capcom. Yeah. It looks solid. I think the demo was a lot of fun. I think this has the bones of a really cool action-adventure game. And continuing with a trend I'm starting to see more and more in the industry is, hey, this is a new IP. Let devs experiment with new IPs. If it doesn't turn out, that's a bummer, but I want to see it. And Capcom has a good track record. Capcom's been kind of hitting it out of the park the past 8 years or so. You know, Resident Evil, everything Resident Evil, the remakes of 2, 3, 4, the 7 and 8, Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter Rise. I know a lot of people shit on Wilds, but Wilds is a cool game. Like, shut up. Dragon's Dogma 2, once the performance issues got fixed, like, all those collections. Capcom's been on a real hot streak, so I'm kind of willing to be like, Capcom doing a new IP? Sure, fuck it, let's get it. Go play the demo, everybody. Death Stranding 2 on the beach is on PC next month. That was a really great game. It's out next year, or it was great on PlayStation. If you have a PC and do not own a PlayStation, you should play this. I don't think it's necessarily for everyone, but I think it is interesting enough where everyone will look at it. Or should look at it. Marvel Tokon, the game I am most excited for this year, besides Grand Theft Auto, of course, like everyone else. The game that is going to be the fighting game I obsess over for probably the year after its release is, it's got a date. It's coming out in August 6th. It is going to have 20 players. And they confirmed 3 new characters they hadn't before. Danger, Wolverine, and Magic. They also confirmed that Wolverine is getting Steve Blum as the voice actor. Yeah, dude, I gotta say that the magic they got for this is super good. The design on Magic here is just like perfect. Like, it's hard to script Wolverine's design. He's Wolverine. It's pretty hard to screw this up. Like, that magic design, oof. Danger is also a very unique pick. Like, that is a crazy choice. That is not mainstream Marvel at all, and I'm here for it. Good on you, Arxis. Getting a niche character in here. Let's do it. Yeah, that game's gonna be cool when it's done. I have faith in Arxis to make a really great game. Look at this. Look at this. Fucking look at this shit. Yeah. I don't know how you can't get hype watching that. Let's go. Rayman 30th Anniversary Edition got announced. Krafton PUBG publisher shows off an open world action RPG from the Far Cry director. So everybody just assume this is gonna be a blob game. Just assume that. Actually no, it kind of looks like a Souls-like a little bit. Maybe it's a Souls-like combined with a blob game. Maybe that's the idea. Souls-like blob-like. It's blob-like, everybody. I feel kind of mad. I feel kind of bad shitting on it. But I don't know, man. It just feels like I just have such a just negative opinion on Ubisoft, right? As a whole, and like I'm sure there's great competent people who work there. I mean, you saw that a lot of the Expedition 33 team is ex Ubisoft. Same with a couple other big games that have come out the past few years, but man, I don't know, it could be cool. This could be neat. I do like the sense of scale here of just all the dudes and the army and everything. But man, it's hard for me to get enthused when you say former Ubisoft Far Cry director. Yeah, like this shit looks cool. Give me some Dynasty Warriors in here. With this giant chicken man. Fuck it, sure, why not? Alright, holy shit, Dead or Alive is back, baby! Bringing core values back to the FGC. Let's get it! For those of you that don't know, Dead or Alive is one of my 3 favorite fighting game franchises. I love Dead or Alive. I think Dead or Alive is disgustingly underrated, and the fact that we got not only DOA 7 confirmed, but a definitive edition of DOA 6 coming back. Fuck yes, let's go. DOA is back, everybody. Y'all thought it was dead. Fuck you. The return of core values to the FGC. Oh, God. It was such a good fucking game. People got stupid and mad about it. That's my response here, is people were dumb about this game. It was a great fighter, but Evo got dumb about it. The community got dumb about it. You know, just... They made a more offensive, easier to play game, and just everyone got super pissed for some reason. I pre-ordered this. I loved DOA 6. Not as much as I liked 4 or 5, but I still love 6. And I'm hoping that the community comes and embraces this. Also, hey man, Tekken's out. DOA is back. Virtua Fighter's getting a new game, and they got their version of this. 3D Fighters, making a comeback. Let's hear it for 3D fighting games. Alright. Legacy of Kain, Ascendance, the first new Legacy of Kain game in 2 decades, is out next month. It looks like a Metroidvania. It looks pretty good. They got the remaster of Defiance set for March. Darwin's Paradox lets you become an octopus. I like how they do the Metal Gear 4 fake out. Like, they do the Metal Gear 4 box fake out, and then it's the octopus under the box. The entire time I was watching this, I was reminded of Octodad. It's this is a stealth game with an octopus. And I'm just kind of reminded of... In some ways, I'm reminded of Oddworld, but more stealthy. And I'm also reminded of Octodad. In my mind, this is a prequel to Octodad. That's that's my mind here. This is a prequel to Octodad. Konami can't convince me otherwise. Um, oh god, there's so much in this. There's so much. So 4-player co-op stealth game refines shinobi action from Shueisha. Yeah, I think that those are the big ones. This kind of looked interesting as someone who is a sucker for RPGs. It is a tactical RPG though. But Brigandine Abyss is next interesting in the Fantasy War series. Big tactical RPG coming out this year. Huge state of play. Like, God, Jesus. Just brisk pace, lots of stuff going on. Just lordy, lordy, lordy. Oh, yeah. I think that's a great showing. They had something for everybody. They really just had something for everybody. Tons of great games. Just a lot of great shit there. That I think you could not ask for better for a state of play. I think there was something for everybody. I feel like the people complaining about this, as there is every time, I don't know what these people want. I really don't. I feel like you had this amazing state of play, and then you have people go and complain about it. It's like, dude, what did you expect? Like, what did you actually want from this? And that's just kind of where I'm at. It's like, well, what did you expect? You know. So there's that. But I loved it. I'm excited for Dead or Alive, Metal Gear, Marvel Tokon. I'm gonna pick up that God of War Metroidvania game. Like, holy shit, so much good stuff here. There had to have been something for you. So, all right. Next news story. All right, let's say you don't own a PlayStation or any gaming device that most of those games are going to be on, outside of like Soros and the God of War game. Let's say you don't own a PlayStation, but you're broke. This is this is a dystopian news story. God damn it! But you're broke. You want to play the video games, but you're broke. Well, how about you lease a PlayStation for $10, or in this case €10 per month, based on a 36-month lease of a PS5 digital edition. Other lease periods available. So, PlayStation UK retweeted this. They are working with Flex in the UK to make it so you can lease a PlayStation. Depending on the kind of PlayStation you want, it is anywhere from $11 to $17 a month. This is... you will own nothing and be happy, is my thought process here. I'm curious, do you get to keep it? Free to return within 14 days, optional insurance, no impact on credit. Let's see, sign up, end of lease. Upgrade, keep paying the monthly, or leave Flex by returning your device. So is there no keep option? Like, is that not an option here? Can you not, let's see. Let's see. So you can keep paying the lease and like you can get and continue paying monthly, but is there not like a keep option? Oh, dude, that's gross. That's super gross. Oh, that's horrible. Like, it was already gross because like, okay, so let's see. This thing is $17 a month. $17 a month times 3 years. Okay, so times 36. I mean, it's still less than the cost of the device, but like buying the device at that point, but that's still just, but at that point it's like your device, you own it. Like, this is so fucked. This is so fucked. Like, just God, the RAM shortages are dooming us. You know, yeah, and the comments on this are 100% right. Fellas, I mean it when I say this. If you only afford to rent a PlayStation, you don't need a PlayStation. You know, like Jesus Christ. And then yeah, this comment: some person sat down and drew up a plan to target the most financially vulnerable folks, taking the equivalent of buying new over years, then you return it, rather than making an affordable PS5 for everyday man. I I don't think this is necessarily I, I don't necessarily think this is a byproduct of them like wanting to necessarily target the vulnerable, as it is everything is insanely expensive, and PlayStations have not been able to come out in price. But I agree with all the people in the comments saying, if you ever find yourself having to finance a PlayStation, then you don't need a PlayStation. Um, lots of negative sentiment here. I'm talking directly to you, social media manager, whoever you are, whatever you've done. You don't deserve this to be your life. You probably went to school. You're probably intelligent and talented. Do not give yourself to a corporate giant that made you type out lease a PS5 digital edition. You were meant for more. Yeah, a PS5 digital edition is $380 on Amazon, which, I mean, 36-month lease, that's $360, but at the end of the lease, you have to give it back versus owning it outright. That's crazy. It is crazy that this is being like promoted from the company itself too. Like that's the even crazier part here is uh like even if you couldn't afford one, like back in the day, if you were really broke, there were people who would like get a PS5 from Rent a Center or lease it through other means, or back in the day it'd be a PS2, PS3, that kind of stuff. Like very very poor, financially illiterate folk, and um, hey, that it happens, like yes, but man, like it was never promoted directly by Sony, right? But to have PlayStation UK come out and be like, "Yo, dog, lease a PlayStation." That's, oh my god. This is the world we live in. This is the world we live in is depressing and just. So the people watching this though, don't lease a PlayStation. Don't do it. That don't do it. You can't if you're at the point financially where you gotta lease a PlayStation, dog. Just go focus on trying to make more money somehow. And also, guys, if you are in financial bad spot, you can go on Facebook Marketplace and find a PS5, right? Like you can do that. That is an option. There are used PS5s out there. Let me search Facebook Marketplace. Like yeah, you gotta be smart about it. Yeah, okay. So here you get a regular PS5. Reno, Nevada, 250, 350. Couple controllers in a game and some games for 400. So yeah, there's options here, dog. Don't yeah. Yeah, this guy bought a PS5 couple 6 weeks ago, barely use it. Have receipts, comes with the controller and keyboard and mouse. Shows off some copies games with it, Elden Ring, Horizon, and looks like FC 24. So hey, there you go. Don't fall into this trap, everybody. This is a trap. This is some company convinced PlayStation to do this with them. Don't do it. Oh God, I cannot believe I'd almost be understanding it if you could keep the product afterwards and they charge like a little bit of interest. But the fact that the fact that you can't, the fact that you can't just like keep it afterwards seems just nuts to me. But all right, whatever. All right, the last piece of Sony news is Bungie is holding an open preview weekend for Marathon. We talked about that. Actually, yeah, that's not really a news story that's relevant. So I'm gonna just flip back here. Other new IP news: Sega plans to release 4 major new titles from mainstay IPs by the end of March 2027. It'll continue to expand its transmedia, meaning like movies, restaurants, pop-up shops, that kind of thing. Uh, in the next financial year, from April 1st to March 31st, plans to release 4 new major titles from mainstay IPs. Maximize title potential through enhancement of sales capabilities, and continue to expand its transmedia business by using in other mediums such as film, TV, or books. They released Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties on Tuesday, which is kind of just doing okay. Virtua Fighter 5 Revo Switch 2 version comes out in March. Games that have been announced that don't have dates: Persona 4 Revival, Stranger Than Heaven, Total War Warhammer 40,000, and Total War Medieval 3. Sega's also announced it's working on numerous other projects, including a new Crazy Taxi, new Golden Axe, new Jet Set Radio, Streets of Rage, Alien Isolation, and Virtua Fighter. I would be willing to bet this year we're getting a Sonic game. Sonic has a major anniversary this year. I think we're getting a Sonic game. I think I could see us getting Persona 4 Revival in early next year, like January to March before that deadline. I don't know. Other than that, other ones I'm not sure. I would love for Crazy Taxi to be out sooner rather than later, but I don't think that's it. I think Stranger Than Heaven. No, I actually think Total War. I think one of the Total War games, and I don't know the last one. Man, I'm happy to see that Sega's working on a lot. They have a Sonic the Hedgehog 4 movie coming out in March of next year. They have some other TV projects based on Shinobi, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Eternal Champions, Outrun, House of the Dead. I will say that Shinobi game they put out last year, another case of big name publisher using their IP, giving it to a smaller developer. I'm fully on board with this trend. That Shinobi game was sick as hell. That Shinobi game was one of the best games of last year, and you know, I like Sega bringing back its old IP, and I like the fact that they're committed to putting all this stuff. I don't know. They could maybe sneak Virtua Fighter out this year. As an Evo reveal, Virtua Fighter 5 is a main stage Evo game. I could see them, maybe their last game that comes out is 6. That's a hard call to make. All right. Next news story. Sad one. Hideki Sato, the father and designer of Sega consoles, has passed away at age 77. Sato and his R&D team were responsible for Sega's arcade and home console hardware, including the Master System, Genesis, Saturn, and Dreamcast. He joined Sega in 1971 and was the company's president between 2001 and 2003. He left the company in 2008. From the beginning of Sega's home console development, has always been influenced by arcade development. Sato famously told Famitsu in an interview covering Sega's history. Our first 8-bit machine was the SC3000. This was the PC for beginner-level users at the time. Sega only did arcade games, so this was our first challenge. We had no idea how many units we'd sell. The Mega Drive was the most successful console. At that point, we started developing a new home console. By then, arcade games were using 16-bit CPUs. Arcade development was something we were very invested in, so we were always using the most cutting-edge technology there. Naturally, it started us thinking, what if we could use that technology in a home console? 2 years after that, we started development. It was done. The 16-bit home CPU console, the Mega Drive, Genesis if you're American. The 6800 chip has also recently come down in price, so the timing was right. On the Dreamcast, the release that ultimately ended Sega's run in hardware, Sato said the keyword for development was play and communication. The ultimate form of communication is direct connection with another, and we included the modem and the linkable VMU for that purpose. We had planned some sort of linking function with cell phones, but we weren't able to realize it. Consumers were now used to raging bit wars, so even then we knew it was a lot of nonsense. We needed to appeal to them, in those terms with the Dreamcast. So we marketed it as having 128-bit graphics with RISC CPU, even though the SH4 was only 64-bit. On the other hand, we extensively customized the original SH4 for Dreamcast to the point where I think you could almost call it something new. Yeah, this is a key figure in the history of video games. A lot of big name games came out on those Sega consoles. And the Sega Saturn was something in terms of engineering. I think we're gonna see a lot of this soon. A lot of those guys who did a lot of cool shit on video games, the early era of video games from the 70s to the 2000s, are starting to get up there in age. I mean, Miyamoto's in his 70s, right? Kojima's in his 60s. I think Suda51 is in his 50s. Regardless, it's real sad. Rest in peace, Hideki Sato. You were a real one. You made millions and millions of people love Sega games, including myself. Alright, on to a less depressing story. Steam! Steam is now going to encourage players to share PC specs on their reviews. Rolling out now in the Steam client beta, which means only those with access to beta tests can do it. Those using a stable branch will have to wait. Valve explained reviewers can attach hardware specs when writing or updating a Steam reviews in the game store page. Some reviewers already include this information in the main body of the reviews, but the new feature will only add a reminder to players to do so, but also help players identify issues that could be unique to certain builds and configurations. I think this is brilliant. I think that you get a lot of reviews on Steam that are pretty disingenuous, because they're like, this game runs bad on my 1063 gig, and it's just obnoxious. It is like, I remember, what game was it? It wasn't Dragon's Dogma. That was a notorious game that issues everywhere, but it was a AAA game in 2024. There was just it got like review bombed real bad over performance from a lot of people. Oh, it was Tekken 8. A lot of people were complaining about Tekken 8 performance, and then they would like post their system specs and be like, I'm running this on, a 750 Ti. Why does it run bad? It's like, because you're on a fucking decade-old GPU, bro. I know times are hard, but, like, not everyone's going to cater to the oldest hardware forever, people. So I think there's that, and I think it is helpful to make it so, people can look and see, oh, does this actually run well on a Steam Deck, or does this actually run well on my PC handle of choice, or my specific graphics card and processor, if they can find a review of that. I think this is just a very beneficial consumer-forward approach to this, and I think it's smart. So, good on Valve. Valve doing good Valve things. That's basically it. I kind of don't see a negative here, especially because if it shows the OS, you can see how well it runs on Linux. I think this is part of probably what they're doing with the Steam machine, to give people an idea of how well stuff will run on a Steam machine as well. I hope they have I don't want to say Steam Machine Verified, but I also think that would be a good idea, except the problem with Steam Machine Verified is Deck Verified isn't fully accurate, so I don't even think, Steam Machine Verified would be accurate. For those of you who have issues with that, ProtonDB, Steam Deck HQ, go check those out. They're really cool. Alright, last couple of news stories. Ubisoft union says 1,200 Ubisoft staff went on strike this week protesting closures, cost cutting, and return to office mandate. Guillemot has no knowledge or understanding of his companies or its employees. Ubisoft has responded this week to the walkout, and staff acknowledged strong feelings prompted by its company's organization and cost-cutting scheme. In a statement to IGN, the company said its own records showed 538 employees went on strike over the past few days, a lower figure than the one stated by Solidaire's Informationique union previously. So, yeah, So here's my thing. I think Ubisoft as a company is exceptionally bloated and has too many people. Like, there are more people working at Ubisoft than there are working in Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, or EA, or Activision. it is kind of crazy how many people work there for how little they put out and actually get done. Um, but I think some of this is bullshit though. Like the return to office mandate is bullshit. The you know, but yeah, I'm not surprised. And then of course, employees are going to strike over this because they're concerned for the long term health of their job and their life, and it's a shitty situation all around. Yeah, and they talk about it, and one of tiny help assigns taken from offices to courts, no respite for Guillemot, referencing their CEO and the family members also employed within the company. Someone posted up a sign saying shareholders cannot make games and don't play with our lives. I think the thing here is it's shitty to say this, but it's like Ubisoft hasn't had a big hit in a while. They're way, way overstaffed. It sucks. It is a massive failure on management, and you can be upset at that. I do not think a strike will get those jobs back or help here. It is a case where I don't think that is... This is not a case of a business that is wildly successful, that is cost-cutting for no reason. This is a case of a business that is kind of barely successful to arguably failing, cutting costs to stay afloat, which is why they had to sell part of themselves to Tencent. Normally I'm very pro-union, very pro-labor, but this is just a case where they just don't need the guys, and they just don't have the team. I think the broader return to office mandate is stupid, and it's obviously used to cull staff. This is a well-known tactic. A lot of people, I'm sure, know, where they do a return to office mandate to get people to quit, because there are some people who don't want to work in an office. It happened within my state, right? Like our governor did a return to office, and 30% of people quit and didn't come back. Like it is just it happens. It happens. It sucks. Yeah, I'm curious to see what the result of this will be, because like Ubisoft is not a company that's doing great, and this is a lot of negative press, but I'm not sure they can necessarily afford to keep those people the way things are going, considering they had to get massive investment just to not sell off the whole company and keep themselves afloat. Yeah, it's rough times for Ubisoft. What would help them is putting out a good video game that doesn't play like a million other video games that they've made before. That'd be a good idea. Anyway, moving forward, this next two stories are gonna be quick, and then we'll do what we've been playing and call it a day. Diablo 30th anniversary spotlight showed off the new class for the Diablo 4 Immortal and Resurrected. They're all getting the Warlock. The notable one here for me, though, is Diablo 2, a 25-year-old video game, is getting its first new class in 25 years. That is so goddamn cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And that the Warlock one for Diablo 2 is out today. Diablo Immortal, nobody cares. Nobody plays that garbage. And then Diablo 4, it looks sick. Like it looks real sick. I think it's a smart move. I think that's a good class to go with. I'm looking forward to it. I think the Warlock is a neat idea. I'm excited. Man, a lot of people hate on Diablo 4, but I like Diablo 4. I like Diablo 4 a lot. But yeah, that's just a fun thing. It's just like 25 years in, getting a new class. That's a neat thing. I like it. How do you design that? Like, how do you like look at a game like Diablo 4 and like really plan out a new class for it? Well, all right. Last news story is just a funny thing that I thought would be hilarious. 9 months away from GTA 6's November release, retailer cheekily promises free copies to anyone who gives birth on launch day. You can get GTX 6 for free if you give birth to a baby on the game's release. Complet describes the idea of having a baby on GTA 6 launch day as a life hack, with the obvious implication being you could time your parental leave perfectly for when Rockstar's highly anticipated blockbuster drops. Of note, Norwegian parental leave offers 49 weeks at 100% salary or 61 weeks at 80% salary shared between two people. This is actually not nonsense. GTA 6 is released in 9 months. If you have a baby on launch day, we'll give you the game for free. Uh, I do agree with the comments, though. You're not getting time to play GTA 6 if you have a screaming baby at home. That baby is going to cost a lot more than $70. Haven't slept in 6 days. Nipples are like bullets, and I've been hit in the face with explosive diarrhea. Suggesting that life with a newborn is actually like, I don't even know what my name is right now, let alone have time to turn on a game, but I'm sure it'll be good. So, yeah, I guess if you are currently pregnant or trying and are interested in GTA 6 and happen to live in Norway, I guess here you go. Enjoy your free copy of GTA 6 that you'll be able to actually play about a year to 2 years after dealing with a screaming baby. There you go. All right, everybody, that was the news. The news happened. We did the news. We got one news done. Actually, we got a lot of news done. Most of us been on State of Play. What I've been playing. I played a whole shit ton of 2XKO. I kind of gave most of my opinions during the news. I think that game is addictive as hell. It has a ton of great combos, not a ton of cool characters, but very cool characters with a lot of depth. It does the Guilty Gear thing where most of the characters have their own unique, weird kind of mechanic thing to deal with. I think that if you're the type of person who just wants to log in, play a fun fighting game, grind sets, do some training mode, it's great. I do think that I think it needs more characters, of course. That's kind of been my big sticking point. And I do think that the screen tearing on console is real bad. And that I also lost my thought on it. Oh well. Yeah, but that game is really dope. Next up is Romeo is a Dead Man. Romeo is a Dead Man is the new game by Suda51. It is... Okay, I'm going to try my best to explain this plot. It is absolutely off the walls absurd. But once again, I'm going to do my best. Alright, let's do it. Okay, so you play as Romeo Stargazer, who gets his face eaten by effectively a zombie. Alright? And what happens when you get your face eaten by a zombie? Your grandfather, who is effectively Doc Brown from Back to the Future, jams a device into your eye socket, and your head that was eaten becomes a robot head, and you can summon a lightsaber, and you become the superhero Dead Man. And then the Time FBI comes in, recruits you to stop time criminals, including your girlfriend from multiple dimensions. On top of this, your grandfather in the process dies, but that's okay because he uploaded his consciousness into an AI that is now the back of your leather jacket, and your grandfather is on your back at all times on the leather jacket as a character. Alright, I think I got everything. Okay, so there's that. Jesus Christ. That, by the way, everyone, that is the first 15 minutes of the game. I want everyone to be clear. Is the first 15 minutes of the fucking video game. Yeah, and then as for the game itself, it is a vibe. It is very much No More Heroes meets Shadows of the Damned, hack and slash, with some good old gun elements thrown in. It has the weird fucking visuals and music cues of a Suda game. It has just this immense amount of style that is unfucking-deniable. Like, just everything you do in this game is just stylish as hell. It is fucking gorgeous. Period. Because of that. And it has a lot of cool ideas. Part of the combat is you can summon these dudes you recruit called bastards. So you'll like throw out a turret and it'll start shooting and spawning zombies in to go fight the zombies you're fighting with your laser sword katana thing. Yeah, it is fully crazy Suda 51 third person action game. With some set pieces. I do think at times it is tedious. The combat is, I will feel like the combat is fine. It does not blow me away. It is fun enough and has enough tactile feel to it and just this real oomph to it that it's still enjoyable. But it's like, okay, I'm mowing down another wave of zombies to go do a thing. And that kind of gets old, and I feel like the energy here reminds me a lot of No More Heroes, but more refined, while also having its own issues of just like feeling dated gameplay wise. I think the presentation and the story is absolutely cutting edge. It's Suda 51 at his best. It's an artistic marvel, but I think the core gameplay, it feels old. Like, this feels like an action game you would have played in, like, 2009, 2010. It feels like he hasn't evolved in that regard. But I don't give a shit because of how absurd the set pieces are. The story moves at a breakneck pace. It's just at times it can feel a bit grindy. And I'm only 2 hours in. I'm through about 2 levels and change and a couple secrets. That could change as I make more progress in it. But I mean, like, it's just $45 also. Like, at $45, I think it's worth a chance. Because if you're like me and you vibe with it, I think you're going to go apeshit for it. Like I have. I love this game, but it's not something I can wholeheartedly come on here and recommend to everybody. Because it's really weird and wild and fast-paced and very visually loud with your laser chainsaw katana, and also it's just very violent. Like you'll blow up dudes with your katana chainsaw laser sword and they explode into just a river of blood. So yeah. So that was Romeo's a Dead Man, at least my first impression of it. I like it. It's good. I don't think it's for everybody. I look forward to reporting on it more as I play. I played some Overwatch. I guess Overwatch. It's no longer Overwatch 2. They just changed the name. It's Overwatch again. I tried some of the new characters that they showed off with their 5 new characters at release. I guess it'd be 2 at this point. 5 for the season, though. 5 for the first 5 weeks. I tried the first 2. Dude, Jetpack Cat is ridiculous, and I love him, and he's broken. As Jetpack Cat, I just like picked up a bastion and just kept flying around, and we had this turret that was mowing down everyone, just flying through the sky. I think that as a game, and I think Overwatch still has some sauce to it. Like, it was fun to play. It was fun to get back in. I'm trying to pronounce her name right. I apologize. the character they had at the start is Amire. She was a lot of fun. Very interesting DPS flanker type character. I love the fact that they brought back 6 characters instead of 5. I love the fact that it's open queue. The problem I have with Overwatch now is it just feels too little too late. Even with all these improvements, going back to, adding some more lore to the game, really fleshing the game out, it's just not as enjoyable or no, it's On Runs, the new character, Jesus. But like even with that, it's not enough to pull me away from Marvel Rivals. Just Marvel Rivals is a better experience at this point. It looks better. It's more dynamic. The character preferences, that's going to be on you, of course. Like, some people just prefer other, kinds of characters, and that's okay. But it just doesn't look as good. It doesn't feel as good. Like when I'll use Pharah, right? And, I'll do death from above, blah, 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 bomb the whole area. And it just lacks the same impact of when, when you get a triple kill doing that with like Iron Man, maximum pulse, you just feel this oomph to it. And you get the flash on the screen of, double kill, triple kill, with the Iron Man logo on the side versus this is like, it pops up right corner, bing, bing, bing. And on the screen it pops up, but it's not... It doesn't have the same impact. It doesn't look as good. It does have some moments that are cool, though. Like I said, I feel like the toolkit can be a little more interesting in Overwatch. Stuff like Jetpack Cat just flying around with Bastion, just shooting everything. I don't know. I need more time with it. But yeah, for the first time, I will say it's the best Overwatch has been in a long time. Right? Like, I was someone who played Overwatch religiously. I played Overwatch, every day for a solid year, and then I fell off real hard, and then I came back and I liked it, and then I left, and then I came back for Overwatch 2's release, and I was disgusted by what the game had become, and I left. So coming back, it feels like meeting an old friend who like got into a bad place and started doing drugs, and got all fucked up. And now they're doing better, and they've spent a couple years coming, out of rehab, and they've been clean for a year, and they're like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And you're like, "I'm glad you're doing well. I'm not sure, I'll still hang out with you from time to time, but you're not the game I was like fully invested in." So yeah, that was kind of a fun thing to put time into this week. Then I played Mario Tennis, the Mario Tennis Fever. I have not gotten involved in the adventure mode. I can't really talk about the depth or whether or not it's worth $70. I know there's a lot of discussion about that going around. I can just talk about the core tennis gameplay. I played through the first 3 tournaments with Donkey Kong and had a great time. I like the tournament mode, not the adventure mode, or this. I think that game is awesome. I think that I really miss, as far as the core gameplay goes, the game itself. I'll get more into that later. I think it looks, as good as a Mario sports game can look, and the core tennis just feels great. Like getting a fever shot and choosing a racket. Like I chose the initial racket that says fire on the ground, and like setting a fever right in the dead middle of, hitting that in the dead middle of their court. So now the rest of the game, or not the rest of the game, but for the next couple rounds, they can't go to the middle of the court or else they'll take damage and be messed up for a lot of the set. I think I love being able to use strategy in that way in that kind of game. Feels nice and tight as you control. They made a great tennis game. Whether or not the rest of that game supports that great tennis game, I'll wait and see. But, great core tennis game. My initial impression is very strong off about the hour of me messing around in tournaments. Last but not least, the WoW housing continues. Last night I probably played more WoW than I've played in a very long time, at least outside of a seasonal rating team, because boy howdy, it's just real good, man. Like the way they set up that game, just the way they set up housing to be like, hey, we locked all this housing behind this old content, and now I am going back to, like I said last week, but now I'm doing it on like classes I had no intention of ever playing because I just want one specific housing item. Like, I really want the cherry blossom tree from the monk. So that means I have to go do the monk order hall. So I'm going to go do the monk order hall. And I'm like out in the world doing stuff for the monk order hall, and you're seeing people who are also capped doing this shit because they are also trying to unlock decor for housing. And it's just this sickness that has plagued the whole game of just people getting back into it to level alts and be ready for midnight and go back for housing. It's just such a cool moment to see, and I'm really loving it. We got a large chunk of our community at SGK kind of playing it and getting into it, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the expansion launch and getting more housing stuff and getting really into housing and unlocking as many housing items as possible to fully flesh out my place. I think that's a show, everybody. Wow, right at the 2 hour mark. Perfect. Just what I was looking to do. Sorry if it was a little more rambly than normal. I'm still trying to get a hang of the solo thing and not having a discussion partner when the weeks I don't have one. Love ya. We'll be back next week. Hopefully it's me and Duncan. And, yeah, you guys are the best, and hope you keep tuning in. See ya. Bye.